Hello everybody, I'm MrRedClaw. Welcome back to some more World of Tanks, where today we are back for some more best of series, this time around for the Swedish tech tree, where I play my three favourite or best tech tree tanks, or maybe not tech tree tanks, but tanks of each nation in order, as you can see through like the nation list over here. And this time around we are over here at the Swedes, where I only have 3 tanks to play, so I'm going to play all of them. A little bit of an upgrade since last episode, where we only played 2 tanks for the Polish tech tree. I had to play the 45 TP twice. But yes, moving on. The Stridsvåg S1, that's the tank we are going to be playing first, and the first Swedish tank that I kind of bought more like, because of course it's a premium tank, a tier 8 tank destroyer, and I like to play this with vents, binoculars and the turbo. Vents to just improve everything, binoculars to make this tank good at sniping from long range without having anyone to have to spot for you, and a turbo to improve its top speed, mostly in the kind of firing mode, because it does actually do quite a lot of the turbo in kind of like the shooting mode. It just makes you so much more mobile moving up those couple of kilometers. And of course I use food as well, because it's basically a must for every tank. I'd say like from tier 6 upwards, maybe tier 7, but you must have it to kind of do fairly well from each tank. Maybe tier 6, tier 7 upwards, maybe even some tier 5s if you're kind of doing it for credits, maybe in a tank, in a premium tank that you have at tier 5 and you just want to do a little bit better than you're doing right now. But of course it does come at a loss of 20 to 10,000 credits depending on if you buy it during a sale or not. But yes, the S1, it has a 105mm gun doing 390 damage with 288mm on the standard rounds and about 330 to 20 on the APCR rounds. Now, it goes 50 forwards, 45 backwards, so it's not the fastest, but it's definitely still a fairly decent mobility tank destroyer for its tier. Now, it doesn't really have the best horsepower to ton ratio, so it does struggle going uphill, as you saw going up this hill to get to the position over here. But what it is good at, or I guess to some degree, is a very nice sloped frontal kind of, well, not frontal upper plate, it's just basically the front of the tank. That only works with 90mm guns or less, if they're not firing heat, of course. Yeah, if you are versing like a tier 7, 8, 6 medium tank, something, you are going to be bouncing off basically everything, unless they go for your lower plate kind of, which is of course less angled than kind of upper plate, I guess we could call it, or if they go for the cupola on top, that is also a weak point for the tank. Now, I came here thinking that we're going to be getting some good shots out on the tanks down there, but our kind of light tank isn't really spotting too much. I mean, the charioteer was there, but he was about, what, like 300 meters away, so well, maybe not like 350, and I kind of didn't want to risk getting spotted by him, as there is a Scorpion G in the back over there. I definitely don't want to get shot at by him, because one shell penetrating is going to be about nearly half of my health in that one shot. So for now we actually aren't doing too much, and I hope that changes pretty soon, because I actually want to showcase their okay DPM of this tank. It's not amazing, but it's not too bad, and I'm just seeing if I can get a sneaky shot into that guy, but I don't. But I definitely can shoot the Scorpion G over there. Now, I was fairly close to him, 385 meters, and I did get spotted, and I do get shot by the Ferdinand, and I probably should have just exited the firing mode and maybe it would have just fallen back quicker. I still probably would have been shot at by the Ferdinand, but maybe not. I guess he is quite high up. I was kind of protecting myself more from the tanks lower down over there and hoping they don't shoot me, but I guess there isn't really anyone over there. But there is a Ferdinand sitting in the back, and I think this might be it for me. Looking at Ferdinand low rolls, and that Scorpion G has some fairly decent spotting view range, it looks like, and some fairly okay camo, and I think that might be it for me. Yep, as the GW Tiger P shuts me down. So definitely not one of my favourite maps. I don't really like Ghost Town too much, to be honest, especially for kind of your more sneaky tank destroyers, especially when you are kind of attacking on an assault. But, you know, that's what these videos are about, you know. It's not meant to be, you know, top damage, just doing as much as you can, as I'm kind of getting cut off on this side. But yes, it's not meant to be about that. It's meant to be showcasing the vehicle in basically a standard game. Sometimes it goes better, sometimes it goes worse. Now, moving on from the S1 to the Stridsvång K. Now, as I said at the end of the last video, I kind of put so much credits and experience into this tank, thinking that it's going to be, you know, the next big thing, you know, the first tier 9 premium tank in the game. And what I found after playing with it for not too long, to be honest, is that it's kind of bad. I don't really enjoy this tank. Its DPM isn't really that special. I mean, I don't really run a good rammer, but it's because it's fairly slow, so you need the turbo, vents, and stabilization device, because it is, you know, you need to make your shots count if you are reloading 10 seconds for, I think, 390 alpha damage. So yes, and it's the armor itself isn't really that good. You know, the turret is okay, but it's basically like a British FV kind of like Centurion turret, which, I mean, it has its weak points, you know, up top and you know, to the left and right of the gun, kind of, sometimes especially against heat. And its upper plate, I mean, it's okay. It's kind of like a Kranvang, I'm pretty sure, hull, so it's okay, but its lower plate is just tragic. So you don't really want to be showcasing your hull to anyone. Maybe, you know, some tier 7s if you want, but, you know, against tier 9s, tier 10s, tier 8s, you just want to hide yourself and basically be a support tank for everyone around you. And as you can see, I do have a very good intuition reload, because I have a very, very skilled, I'm pretty sure, Sabaton crew. I'm pretty sure it's from Sabaton, I'm not really too sure, but I just put so much experience into them, because I thought, well, a tier 9 premium tank, you know, must be fairly good. But it wasn't, and I wasted quite a lot of experience and credits into making this tank playable, and even after wasting all of that, it's still not really playable, and I don't even have enough alpha damage, no, not that, but penetration to go through the front of the 140. Hopefully a lucky shot over there, but actually bounces as well, so not doing too well in the Stridsvång K, and now we actually have to kind of force ourselves forwards over here not to get shot by tanks from the middle of the map. So we are just kind of left into the will of the T95 if he goes forwards a lot, and that E75. Hopefully we can just chill over here and put in a couple more shots then in the S1, because, I mean, right now it looks like we aren't really in the best spot to get any damage out. I mean, this E75, I mean, you know, we've got a T95 locking us down, so don't really want to be getting hit by that, because, you know, three shots and we are basically out for the count by the T95 over there. Now, I want to try and get the cupola of the E75, which I'm pretty sure I should be able to penetrate. There we go. But yeah, as we can see, especially with the E75 having the higher ground, the weak point of the Stridsvång K gets exposed, especially with the E75 firing APCR rounds. That's basically, you know, he would have definitely gone through even with regular rounds over there, because this tank is actually just so bad. Luckily, it's fairly accurate. But that's not going to help me if this T95 goes out front. So luckily we slide back, and it looks like we have control of the middle now, so we are safe to be over here, which is good, because we would have died quite quickly, as the the rear armor of this tank is basically non-existent, so definitely don't want to be hoping to bounce some tanks from the rear. Just put out that shot against the projectile, just hoping it hits, because I mean, I had enough time to reload after that shot, and I wanted to see if I could get the kill on him, but we didn't. So now we are head on against the T-30. It's probably the last tank you want to meet in this tank. Luckily, a very good strong point of this tank, the accuracy is fairly okay. So as you can see, the weak spot of the T-30, the kind of turret roof, or just between the kind of mantlet and the turret roof, we were able to penetrate, which is good for us, managing to put out some damage this game. Switching over to AP rounds, because I don't think we need APCR for this Progetto over here, which I think might come out to fight me, or maybe he's just turning back now to kind of try and put out a couple more shots against all of my allies on the other side. Now, what are we going to do over here? This is the question. Do we want to kill that Progetto? I think we do, but we bounced off the back of the turret, which isn't very good. Hopefully this turbo gives me the chance to get the back of the Panzer 7, but we actually still so slowed up that basically did nothing to help us. So we're going to get shot by the Panzer 7. We just need to make this next shot count now. Gonna go for damage, because yeah, we aren't doing too well over here. Now, actually, the dispersion, the rotation on that Panzer 7 actually isn't that bad. It's actually a lot better than I thought it was. Gonna sneak in another shell over there and run away, not to get hit by anyone camping in the back or the artillery. So we are just going to disengage and hopefully go around the back of the Panzer 7 to finish him off. As yeah, we get hit by the artillery. I couldn't do anything there. I just had to keep going in a straight line, because I mean, if I would have stayed still, the artillery would have probably taken me out along with the Patton tank over there, as we were both on low hit points. And it looks like we might win this if our EBR does some fairly good spotting for our team, but I guess we'll see. Whilst we move on to the final tank, which actually can't, well, actually I can move into, because we lost the game in the S1. But moving my crew from the S1 to the third highest DPM tank in the game, being the Stridsvagn 103B. Hopefully now, with this being definitely the best of the 3 Swedish tanks that I have, we should be able to put in a good shift and hopefully do some decent damage in this tank, with still a 105mm gun, with yeah, as I said, the third highest DPM in the game after the Badger and the Tortoise, being a lot sneakier than them and having a fairly good and accurate gun, being a lot faster than both tanks as well, and not having the most view range, as my setup is kind of mostly based on mobility and DPM. I don't actually have a different setup as well. Actually, no, I think I do. I think I do have a kind of setup where I drop the turbo for vents, I'm pretty sure, or the gun rammer for vents, I'm not really too sure. But yes, I've seen this bug a couple of times now, where it appears that a tank is on 0% hit points, but I'm thinking that that's maybe of course it's a bug, but I think it's a bug because maybe the tank added some sort of equipment that Wargaming hasn't calculated into the kind of percentage hit points on the screen. I'm not really sure, but that seems like the only kind of thing that could happen. And we actually win that Rurenberg game, which I kind of did think was going to happen, and we did put in a good shift, 2,000 damage in a fairly short amount of time, because we started off really not doing too much, but we did 2,000 damage, and actually I think that kind of play on the Panzer 7 I think won us the game, because it meant that our team could manage to push through the town and surround the enemy tanks. It cost us a lot of hit points on our life, I guess, in the end. But I think it was a push worth pushing, I guess, if you want to call it. Now we're going up north. I guess the T-62A is, but he is in no kind of location for us to shoot at. And since Wargaming has basically kind of made this map even more campy than before, I'm pretty sure, or at least in my mind, with this kind of factory setting just being so much more campy and inviting for the more slower of the tanks, heavy tanks and tank destroyers. This map is just even worse than before. You know, before you had the big push down south, now, you know, you've got this whole like extra larger dip, which makes it even more campy, in my opinion. You know, someone goes down there and you have, you know, all of these locations to hide behind and go haul down against your enemies, and yeah, you just can't really do too much about it. But we have gone up north now because we weren't going to do anything down in our last position. So I guess now let's see what the tank with the third highest DPM can do. Putting in a good shot into the Gorilla 15, tracking him, and then the follow-up shot actually kills him, as we got a little bit of an assist by our allies over there. Now, the TVP wants to go after that T-62A. He can, but I'm definitely not going over there because that would probably be a death trap for me. We actually have to get behind these bushes because if the IS-4 goes out, we could get spotted, and I kind of don't want that. We should kind of just get into these bushes over here. Hope that Concept 5 spots up that Death Star, which has just taken out our Leopard, and hopefully we can go to town onto that Death Star. But first of all, the Concept 5, you know, has to avoid getting shot by the tanks that are right ahead of us over here. The IS-4, the Object 705A, the other IS-4, and the other Object 705A. Now, that Death Star is probably still in the same location they were at before, but I mean, we can't really do too much with that information unless someone spots him. And for now, it's looking fairly tight in between both teams, with our team kind of holding on to the south, but, you know, up north by the factory over here, we aren't really doing too well. That's what we needed over there. Sadly for us, we don't penetrate the Death Star of the first shell. The second one does go through. Now we switch to the APCR rounds, but sadly that Death Star is now not being spotted anymore, so we just fire blind over there, hoping it goes through, because, you know, one shot can always make the difference. And actually the Death Star gets spotted once again, so oh, we are getting so lucky over there. Did that go into his gun or something? I think it did. But with the excellent DPM of this tank, even if you miss a shell, you know, your next one is only 5 seconds away, so by the time you kind of think about where you are going to be shooting, you are basically halfway done through reloading. Now, I am going to waste a couple of rounds here, but I want to hopefully put in a couple shots into the Death Star whilst also moving around, not to get hit by him, because he might, you know, go for a blind shot. But it looks like he has fallen back and isn't going to be coming back because he is on fairly low hit points. We do have a T100 LT up west, but he hasn't really spotted anything over there because there isn't really anything to spot over there right now. Now, what do we do over here? We haven't really done too much damage in this because this map isn't really that good for snipey tanks, especially if your team kind of pushes in like my team has done in this game. You know, we don't really have a chance to kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy some sniping from further back. Luckily, this tank is sneaky and fast, so we can go around the back and hopefully take out this IS-4 just like that. Brilliant stuff there. Hopefully put in, you know, a couple more rounds to do a fairly decent amount of damage, because, you know, 800 damage in this is kind of, you know, terrible. Sadly, we miss our round of opportunity at that 705, and then the round afterwards doesn't go through. Luckily, we managed to avoid the round from the 705. Oh, there, I definitely want to avoid that round as well. Luckily, this tank is fast enough that if a heavy tank just goes around the corner and wants to fully aim, you are more than likely to get away with without taking a hit if you move straight away. But, you know, if you do get hit by the tank, the heavy tanks, it is still going to hurt. You're more likely to, you know, survive light tanks, medium tanks, you know, lower tiered tanks as well. Now we are in a golden opportunity to take out that IS-4, which dies right before we can actually go out after him. Now I don't want to peek over here. I could definitely go after the 60 TP or the object, but I don't want to die to a one shot from the Death Star, which is most likely still in that dip over there. And this has been an underwhelming amount of damage for these 3 games in tanks that should be doing more than, you know, 800 damage. And I guess we had a lucky game in the Stritzvon K that we managed to do a little bit more than, you know, a couple hit more shots worth of damage. Now that Death Star is kind of confusing me as to where he is. He just must be sitting, camping a bush over there, hoping to not get spotted before someone else comes in and takes him out. There he is. Now, can we put a shot in? There we go. Just about managing to put in our final shell. So we put in 4 rounds of damage, doing 1,000 hit points, and picking up 3 kills. Very disappointing game, but I guess the maps that we got on with the 2 tank destroyers weren't really good maps to get on with those tank destroyers. We actually did manage to put in a blind shot into the, was it the Gorilla or the IS-4? I'm not really too sure. Was it the Death Star? I'm not really too sure, but we have a little bit more damage than we did in the game. But, you know, on damage, on experience, I guess on experience we did fairly okay. But as you can see over here, I normally do a lot better in the Stritzvon 103B, and actually 6,000 max damage as the record for this tank. So you need to have, this tank is very map specific if you want to play it as a sniper. You can also play it as an assault tank, but you have to kind of hope that you know, get against, you know, tier 9s, tier 8s in order to use your armor. And, you know, not die instantly. And I guess next week is going to be the last video of the best of series. We have gone through all of the nations over the span of, what, about 3 months maybe? Very fun videos. Only about 3 of them were, you know, extraordinary, and actually had some couple good games in. But I guess next up, I was thinking of maybe doing like the worst of after I finish the best of series, you know, going through nations which I have a larger amount of tanks with, you know, like the German, the US, because, you know, the Polish, I'm just going to be playing the same tanks as in the best of, so, you know, it'll probably be a lot quicker to finish off with only about maybe 5 or 6 nations. But, you know, playing the worst tanks, you know, maybe the Hawk, the HWK-12, you know, which isn't really that good, or you know, tanks I don't really find too good as well, like the Panther 88, you know, it's not really that good of a tank, or, you know, I guess the Bulldog is still a fairly good tank. But yes, next up, next week, the best of the Italians for the final battle video of the best of series. But for now, that is going to be. So if you guys enjoyed, like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye bye.